Hey everyone, Elena here. Revenge Shift delivers stories that leave you speechless. If you're here for it, hit subscribe and let's go. The doorbell rang at 9:47 a.m. on a Saturday morning. I was still in my pajamas, coffee mug in hand, when I opened the door to find my mother standing on my porch with a locksmith van idling in my driveway. She held up a set of gleaming new keys like they were a prize. "We're giving this house to your sister," she announced, not even bothering with a greeting. "She needs it more than you do." I stared at her coffee halfway to my lips. "I'm sorry." "What?" "Tiffany is getting married in 6 months." Mom continued, brushing past me into my foyer without invitation. "She and Brandon need a proper home to start their family. You're still single. You don't need all this space." The locksmith was already approaching my front door, tool bag in hand. Behind my mother, my father's Mercedes pulled into the driveway. He emerged wearing his golf clothes, sunglasses perched on his head, looking annoyed that this errand was cutting into his tea time. "Mom," I said carefully, setting my coffee down on the console table. "This is my house. Don't be dramatic, Sierra." She was already walking through my living room, assessing it like a real estate agent. "Family homes belong to the family, not just one person. The house I bought," I continued, my voice steady despite the surreal nightmare unfolding with my $150,000 down payment from my signing bonus, the house I've been paying the mortgage on for 3 years. My father laughed as he stepped inside. Actually laughed. "Sear, sweetheart, we helped you with the paperwork. We co-signed. That makes it a family asset." "You didn't co-sign anything," I said. "I specifically remember the loan officer telling me I qualified on my own income." "Details." Mom waved her hand dismissively. "The point is, your sister is starting a family. She needs stability. You can rent an apartment. You're only 29. You have time." The locksmith stood awkwardly in my doorway, clearly sensing this was not a normal job. "Ma'am," he said to my mother, "I'm going to need to see proof of ownership before I change any locks." "I'm her mother," she snapped. "I have power of attorney." "No, you don't," I said flatly. My father's jaw tightened. The one I'd seen my entire life when I contradicted the family narrative. "Sear, we've made our decision. Tiffany will be moving in next weekend. We'd appreciate it if you could have your personal items out by Friday." "By personal items," I repeated slowly. "Out of my house by Friday." "Don't make this difficult," Mom said. She was opening my kitchen cabinets now, taking inventory. "You've always been selfish about sharing, even as a child. This is a chance to finally do something meaningful for your sister. Something meaningful. Like the $12,500 I'd loaned Tiffany for her car that she never paid back. Like the college fund they drained to pay for her second failed business venture. Like the family vacations I'd been uninvited to because Tiffany found my presence stressful. I pulled my phone from my pajama pocket and sent a single text. "Now would be good." "Who are you texting?" Dad demanded. "If you're calling your brother to complain, don't bother. He agrees with us." "I'm sure he does," I murmured. Sheriff Miller's patrol car pulled up to my curb 60 seconds later. He'd been parked 2 blocks away, waiting for my signal. We'd planned this meeting for 3 days, ever since my mother had called Tiffany to discuss the house situation on speakerphone while I was visiting for what I'd thought was a normal family dinner. Sheriff Miller wasn't just any sheriff. He was my mentor from the youth leadership program I'd participated in at 16. He'd written my letter of recommendation for college. He'd been at my graduation. And when I'd called him in a panic on Wednesday night, explaining what I'd overheard, he'd said 6 words: "Let them come. I'll be there." He walked up my driveway in full uniform, hand resting casually on his belt. The locksmith visibly relaxed at the sight of law enforcement. "Morning, folks," Sheriff Miller said pleasantly. "Got a call about a property dispute at this address." My mother's face went through several expressions in rapid succession. Confusion. Irritation. Then forced charm. "Officer, this is a family matter. My daughter is being unreasonable about relocating so her sister can use this house." "Sheriff Miller," I said quietly. "Not officer. He's the county sheriff. Sheriff then." Mom's smile was strained. Surely you understand family dynamics. Sometimes children need guidance from their parents about what's best. Ma'am, how old is your daughter? She's 29, but so an adult. Well, yes, technically. And this is her residence. It's a family property, my father interjected, stepping forward with his country club confidence. We co-signed the mortgage. We have certain rights. Sheriff Miller turned to the locksmith. Sir, did they provide you with a deed or title showing their ownership? The locksmith shook his head. Just said they were her parents and needed the locks changed. I'm going to need you to pack up and leave. Sheriff Miller said no work is being authorized today. The locksmith didn't need to be told twice. He was in his van and gone within 90 seconds. My mother's face was wreathing. This is ridiculous. We're her parents. We have a right. Ma'am, you have a right to visit if invited. You don't have a right to change locks on someone else's property. Someone else's? My father's voice rose. We helped her buy this house. Did you? Sheriff Miller pulled a folded document from his belt. Because according to county records, which I pulled yesterday at Sierra's request, the deed to this property lists exactly one name, Sierra Marie Collins. No co-signers, no co-owners, just her. The silence that followed was beautiful. My mother's mouth opened and closed like a fish. That's impossible. We help with the paperwork. We were at the signing. You drove me to the signing, I corrected, and then waited in the car. Because you were annoyed it was taking too long and you had dinner reservations. The mortgage, Dad sputtered. We co-signed the mortgage. Actually, you didn't. I walked to my home office and retrieved the folder I'd prepared. Inside were 3 years of mortgage statements, the original loan documents, and the deed. I'd pulled everything from my files on Wednesday night, double-checking what I already knew to be true. I handed the loan documents to Sheriff Miller, who scanned them briefly before passing them to my father. No co-signers listed. Your daughter qualified on her own income. As a senior financial analyst at Morrison Group with a $140,000 base salary, plus bonuses, she had no trouble getting approved. My father stared at the papers like they were written in a foreign language. But we assumed. You assumed? I said quietly. Because you've always assumed everything I have is really yours. Because in this family, I'm supposed to be grateful for scraps and hand over anything of value to Tiffany. That's not true, Mom protested. But her voice lacked conviction. We've always treated you girls equally. Equally, the word tasted bitter. Is that why Tiffany got a $60,000 wedding budget while you told me I should go to the courthouse? Is that why she got the new car while I drove your 1998 Camry until the engine died? Is that why her college was paid in full while I worked 3 jobs and took out loans? You were always more independent, Mom said, her default excuse. Tiffany needed more support. Tiffany needed to learn consequences, I countered. But instead, she learned that being irresponsible means getting rewarded, and I learned that achieving things on my own means having them taken away. Sheriff Miller cleared his throat. Folks, here's the legal situation. This house is Sierra's private property. She purchased it with her own funds. Her name alone is on the deed. Any attempt to remove her from this property, change locks, or claim ownership would constitute illegal eviction and potentially fraud. Fraud? My father's face went from red to pale. Now wait just a minute, sir. Attempting to claim ownership of property that isn't yours, especially with the intent to transfer it to another party, can be prosecuted as real estate fraud. It's a serious charge. My mother grabbed my father's arm. David, this is insane. She's our daughter. She wouldn't actually press charges. All 3 of them looked at me. I'd spent 29 years being the reasonable one. The one who didn't make waves. The one who swallowed every disappointment, every stolen opportunity, every casual cruelty, because keeping peace was more important than keeping dignity. I thought about Tiffany's text from last night, the one she'd sent to her friends that she'd accidentally included me on. Mom says I'm getting Sierra's house. Finally, that boring is useful for something. Can't wait to redecorate. Her taste is so pedestrian. I thought about the ghost ledger I'd started keeping 2 years ago when my therapist suggested documenting patterns, the spreadsheet on my laptop that listed every loan I'd given that was never repaid. 47,000 total. Every event I'd been uninvited to 23 occasions. Every achievement they diminished. My master's degree, my promotion, my house purchase. I thought about the family photo wall in my parents' house where Tiffany appeared in 47 pictures and I appeared in 9. No, I said simply. I wouldn't press charges, but I am changing my locks today with my own locksmith. I'm installing a security system and I'm making it clear that none of you are welcome on this property without an explicit invitation. Sierra, Mom started. I'm not finished. My voice was still calm, but there was steel underneath. You came to my home at 9:47 on a Saturday morning with a locksmith and new keys. You didn't ask. You didn't discuss. You announced you were taking my house, the house I saved for, qualified for, and have been paying for entirely on my own, and giving it to Tiffany like it was a used couch. We thought, Dad began. You thought wrong. You thought wrong about me for 29 years. I'm the responsible one, so I don't need help. I'm the independent one, so I don't deserve celebration. I'm the stable one, so I should sacrifice for everyone else. I picked up the deed Sheriff Miller had placed on my console table. But this piece of paper says I don't have to anymore. My mother's eyes filled with tears. The manipulation tactic she'd used successfully for decades. How can you be so cold? We're your family. Family doesn't show up with a locksmith to steal your house? I said friends wouldn't do that. Strangers wouldn't do that. But you did. So maybe it's time to reconsider what family actually means. Sheriff Miller shifted, drawing their attention. Folks, I'm going to strongly suggest you leave the property now. Sierra has been more than patient. If you refuse to leave, she has legal grounds to have you removed. My father drew himself up, trying to reclaim some authority. Fine, but don't come crying to us when you're lonely in this big house all by yourself. Don't expect us to help when you need something. The irony was almost funny. I've never expected your help, Dad. That's the point. I stopped expecting it when I was 12 and asked for help with my science project, and you said you were too busy helping Tiffany with her art project, which I then also ended up helping with. Mom pulled on Dad's arm. Let's go. Clearly, she needs time to think about what she's throwing away. They left my father's Mercedes peeling out of my driveway with unnecessary aggression. I watched them go, waiting for the guilt to hit, the second guessing, the familiar pull to chase after them and apologize for setting a boundary. It didn't come. Sheriff Miller stayed for another 20 minutes, documenting everything for his report. He took photos of my deed, my mortgage statements, and the text message chain where my mother had discussed handling the house situation with Tiffany. You okay? He asked as he prepared to leave. I think so, I said, and meant it. For what it's worth, he said, I've watched you grow up. You've always been the one holding that family together, even when they didn't deserve it. I'm proud of you for finally putting yourself first. After he left, I sat in my living room, in my house, and pulled out my phone. I had 37 missed calls and 62 text messages. Tiffany demanding to know why I was ruining her future. My brother telling me I was tearing the family apart. Extended family members who'd been fed some version of events where I was the villain, and one text from my mother. You'll regret this. Family is forever. Houses are just houses. I blocked all of them. Then I called my locksmith, my actual locksmith, the one I'd used when I first moved in. I scheduled security system installation for Monday morning. I updated my emergency contacts to remove my parents. Over the next 3 weeks, the harassment continued through various channels. My father tried to show up, with Tiffany to tour her new house. My mother sent my aunt to guilt trip me. Tiffany posted on social media about her cruel, selfish sister who cares more about property than family. I documented everything. Every unauthorized visit, every manipulation attempt, every flying monkey they sent. Sheriff Miller had advised me to keep records just in case. The turning point came when my mother tried to file a report claiming I'd stolen family property. She actually went to the police station with a story about how she and my father had purchased the house, but put it in my name for tax purposes, and now I was refusing to honor our agreement. The detective who took her statement was someone Sheriff Miller had trained. He listened politely, took notes, and then pulled the county records. When he asked for any documentation of this alleged agreement, my mother had nothing. No emails, no contracts, no paper trail whatsoever. The detective informed her that filing a false police report was a crime, and if she continued to harass me or make fraudulent ownership claims, she could face charges. My mother left the station and called me hysterical. "How could you embarrass me like that? The police treated me like a criminal." "You tried to file a false report claiming ownership of my house," I said calmly. "What did you expect?" "You've changed," she spat. "You never used to be this vindictive." "I haven't changed, Mom. I just stopped accepting unacceptable behavior." She hung up on me. 3 days later, my father's attorney sent a letter. Not a legal demand. They'd clearly been advised they had no legal standing, but a formal notice that they were severing financial and familial ties with me due to my ongoing hostility and unwillingness to contribute to family welfare. I had my attorney send a response. Acknowledged. Please note that any future contact will be considered harassment and will be reported to authorities. 4 months later, I'm sitting in my home office working on a financial model for my company's biggest client. My house is quiet. My security system blinks green. My doors have new locks that only I have keys to. Last week, I got a promotion, senior financial analyst to finance director, a $45,000 raise in equity in the company. I celebrated by myself with good wine and takeout from my favorite restaurant, and it was perfect. Yesterday, I ran into my aunt at the grocery store. She looked at me with something like pity. "Your mother is devastated, you know. She tells everyone her daughter abandoned the family over a house. She's welcome to tell that story." I said I'll tell the truth to anyone who actually asks me directly. "And what's your truth?" That I bought a house with my own money and my parents tried to take it. That when I set a boundary, they chose their version of family loyalty over respecting my autonomy. That they were always going to choose Tiffany over me, so I chose myself instead. My aunt looked uncomfortable. "Families are complicated." "No," I said, "families are simple. You treat each other with respect, honesty, and love. Anything else is just people using shared DNA as an excuse for bad behavior." I heard through the grapevine that Tiffany's engagement fell apart. Something about Brandon discovering her $78,000 in credit card debt and her habit of spending money she didn't have on things she didn't need. They never got the house. My parents ended up buying her a condo instead. A 1-bedroom in a neighborhood she considers beneath her. I'm not happy about her misfortune, but I'm not sad either. I'm just detached. Like watching a show about people I used to know. Sometimes I wonder if I'll regret this in 20 years. If I'll look back and wish I'd been more forgiving, more flexible, more willing to be the bigger person one more time. But then I walk through my house, my $800,000 house that I bought with my $150,000 down payment that I've been paying for with my mortgage, that has my name and only my name on the deed. And I know with absolute certainty that I made the right choice. The best gift I ever gave myself was the one I didn't let them take away. My house isn't just property. It's proof that I was worth the investment all along, and that's worth more than 1,000 awkward family dinners where I pretend not to notice I'm the scapegoat everyone tolerates. 3 months from now, I'm thinking about getting a dog. A big one. The kind my mother always said were too messy and too much work. Maybe a German Shepherd or a Golden Retriever. Something warm and loyal that will actually be happy to see me come home. My house, my rules, my life.